Hello.
Hey, Paula.
How are you?
Good. How are you?
Oh boy. Do you have a lot of trick-or-treaters, Kevin?
No,
Really?
I'm sure usually we're chasing the bull down the street somewhere by the end of the night when we get back, and that wasn't the case. It was like I had two bulls out, and it was only like two-thirds gone of one bull.
Wow.
It's never happened.
I
You know
have
what
a
it is?
fair amount.
I didn't see a lot of teenagers out and about, and they're the ones that usually come at the end of the night and just
Right.
dump the whole bowl, whatever's left in there. Once the
Well, I
kids have
think
had a chance to get at it.
you sent them over our house, I think.
You guys are busy. Wow. Okay.
Yeah, well, we had more than half of our candy gone anyway.
Especially on a beautiful night.
Oh,
it was
yeah.
what,
It
Monday
was
night.
amazing. Yeah.
Yeah. Really nice.
Who's that?
Hello.
Hey, Dave.
Hi, how are you?
Good.
Are you done?
Hi,
I'm
Jackie.
gonna-
Hi, Paula.
Hi, Ade. How are you? I'm gonna shut off my video. I'm
I'm
going
here.
to another room.
Always on the move.
Hmm. What happened? Dr. Lopez is usually early.
Yeah, it's 7.
I'm hitting him right now.
Hmm. Oh, he's here.
Hey, Rick.
Hey, everyone.
Hi.
Hi. Okay.
Jerry's gonna be late.
Okay. I'm on the Board of Pharmacy, and coincidentally, they have their meetings the first Thursday of every month as well. But their meetings go from 8 in the morning to 2:30 or 3 in the afternoon on Zoom.
Oh,
I feel like
A
I'm
long
zoomed
Zoom.
out. I am zoomed out.
wow.
On Zoom, Rick. Wow. They give you like breaks to stretch, have some lunch, I hope.
Yeah,
Something?
they give you a 30-minute lunch break and a 15-minute break in the middle of the morning, but it's pretty intense.
That
Yeah.
is
I'd
intense.
say.
Wow.
It's like what
Okay.
it was during COVID for us.
No, I know.
Oh,
Hey, Ade, how are you?
Good.
Hi, Rick.
Hi.
I got to see Jay at the, hey, Kevin, how are you? Hey, Paul. I got to see you, Jay, at the, briefly at the MHOA conference last week,
oh, cool.
down there checking out the people. We didn't get to talk much, but it was nice to see him.
Yeah, same here.
So,
I think we could probably get started. Jerry's going to be late, but otherwise we're all here.
Hail, hail.
All right. So, Jackie and Jackie, either side of my screen, and I see Allison's here as well, so that's good.
Are you there? I think I lost audio. Are you there?
we can hear you.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
Yeah. Okay, so we'll call the meeting to order. I think this is going to be a fairly relatively brief meeting as they go. After the usual approval of the minutes, we're going to talk about the community needs assessment process and where we are. And I'm glad Aday invited Allison to join us to think through that. I thought we would have a discussion about sort of a generic discussion about community engagement and communication and education. It's something that I've been thinking about for a few months, and seems like it would be a good time, since we don't have a really heavy agenda, to just talk about that. And then a coalition update with Kevin, the monthly report, and so forth, and public comments. So with that, in terms of the minutes from October 6th, they look pretty good to me. Any edits, suggestions, changes?
Not me, not on my part.
Good to me.
None for me.
Okay, so I'll do a motion to approve the minutes from April 6th as written. Paula
April
second.
April 6th.
October 6th. And Paula second. So roll call, Carrie
Yes.
and Paula
Yes.
and Rick, yes. So those are approved. So let's get into the community health needs assessments, and maybe Aday, you can kind of take us through and where we are and what we need to do and think about.
All right, thank you very much. So the proposals were due at 1 p.m. today, and we only got one proposal from Kulik Strategic Advisors, KSA. We have the option to either go ahead and review the proposal or repost the RFP to get more applicants. If the board decides to repost the RFP, I think we should post it for about a month to give applicants more time to apply. And depending on the number of proposals we receive, I think we can either conduct the review at the January meeting or convene a special meeting to conduct the review. I recommend that all subsequent proposals are due at least a week before the January meeting to give the board members time to review the proposals. If you have questions regarding the procurement process, the selection process, Allison is here. Please direct all questions to Allison. Thank you very much.
So I have a few questions. Actually, yeah, two or three here. So one was this particular entity that did actually submit a proposal. They're out of state, I think from Georgia. And they actually had like 12 specific questions about the proposal. And I guess the question I would have is whether Allison or you think we ought to update the RFP and incorporate the answers to those questions into the RFP, because if this organization had it, maybe other organizations have.
We did that already. So we answered the questions and we uploaded them on the website as well.
Okay.
So other applicants could see the questions and the answers. So we did that for each inquiry that we had.
Okay. And did we get any other, I know we only got one submission, but did we get other inquiries? Do you have a sense that, there was any interest out there, or was it totally quiet and this one submission came in?
I forwarded all the inquiries to you. We got inquiries from 3 different
That's right. Yep.
companies, applicants. I feel like maybe they didn't get enough time to put things together, 1, and 2, we had some strict restrictions. At first we said we didn't want anybody from out of state. We wanted them to be licensed in Massachusetts, things like that. So if we decide to repost this, those are some of the things we have to be lenient on. So we might have to remove the in-state requirement and some other things.
Okay. Was there any interest from the Metropolitan Area Planning Council?
Yeah, sorry, this is Allison. No, I didn't receive anything from MAPC.
You didn't see anything from them? Okay.
If MAPC was something that interests you and you thought that they might offer what you need, they're actually, in a way, they'd be almost intermunicipal agreement. So you could negotiate with them without the RFP process.
Okay.
You also, if there was entities, and I can send it out to you, and I apologize, today's been hectic since we got this in, and a day has been wonderful trying to nail me down, and I've been like Jello today, so I apologize, but I could send you the plan holders that took out the actual RFP, and you could see if any of those would interest you. And I know you haven't seen it very long. I haven't read through it either. But do you believe that KSA doesn't meet any of your goals, or do you believe, or you're looking to have something to compare it to, I guess is what I'm.
Ade, you want to?
So the board has not reviewed the proposal from KSA yet. It's a lot of papers to review, given the short period of time between the submission deadline and the Board of Health meeting. So they haven't seen it yet. I feel like they might want to maybe repost it so we can get more applicants, so we can have somebody else to compare KSA with. That's the feeling I'm getting from the board. So,
Harry?
Are you done? Are you, were those all?
Yeah, I've asked someone.
Good, okay, I didn't want to interrupt. Two questions. I know there was one potential applicant that didn't meet the criteria. I'm familiar with the organization. Hi, Jerry. I'd be curious to see about whether we expand the criteria to be open to them. That's the first question. And then the second one is whether HRIA was included as was asked to consider applying for this.
So I advertise it through normal channels, which is on our bulletin board, in our newspaper, in Combis, which is a state system that people register for, and they can see the bids available, and through the central register. I did not reach out to any individual companies and ask them to respond.
Okay.
I'm not against you doing the whole RFP process again, but you may want to, I don't know, review what you have in front of you and then decide.
Yeah. Thanks, Allison. And I'll just say, since you asked it, I'll just say first that I do have concerns about, I haven't seen it, but I do have concerns about what the implications are for somebody who's out of state. Because Massachusetts is I promise you, Massachusetts is a very peculiar public health state. We have 12% of the health departments in the entire country, and we do things very differently than most of the states in the country. So it's not necessarily an easy translation. Now, maybe they're in Georgia and they came from Massachusetts and they know all about it. Who knows? But I would suggest that we tread cautiously in that regard.
I would agree.
That makes sense to me. So then that means for your next RFP, if we go out again, you want to make that one of your minimum criteria that it's a corporation from within Massachusetts.
Well, I thought we did the first time, and they just said, "Oh, I know we're not from Massachusetts, but we'd like to apply." But I may be wrong. That was just my memory.
Yeah.
And my
Okay.
memory.
Yeah, remember that.
The other thing I had, the other question I had, didn't I see somewhere in the emails that went back and forth about a woman's organization in Somerville applying?
Day health strategies.
Yeah. And I know that there was some question about them meeting our criteria. I didn't know if it was worth looking at their qualifications and measuring them up against our criteria.
I believe the firm you're speaking of only had 3 years experience and you had requested a minimum of 5.
So how do people feel about that?
I'm-
Not that they're,
So that was the first, that was my, sorry, I bucketed my questions. That was my first question, kind of a question comment is I'm interested to know more about day health strategies. I'm familiar with them in other ways, and I'm aware of them producing high quality products. So I would be open to it if others in the board agree.
I'm
So
certainly
we
curious.
might want to, be a little bit more lenient, maybe remove the restrictions for 5 years and just turn it down to like 2 so they can meet the criteria.
I mean, I'm still all for extending the deadline to see if we get any other nibbles.
Hi, sorry, this is Allison. I keep interrupting. You cannot extend the deadline. Your deadline is closed. It was 1 p.m. today. So if you don't like this firm, that's perfectly fine. But we would go through the entire RFP process again. And if you want to then tweak your criteria before we go through that process again, that's perfectly fine.
Okay, thank you. Is Kevin frozen? Oh, there he is.
Unreal. I've got a really unstable internet right now, folks. Sorry. Might have to try to reboot here in a minute. I just had a quick question, though. We made it. Didn't we have a minimum requirement, too, for the number of times organizations have done this type of assessment?
Yeah.
So maybe between the two of that, I think I'd rather have somebody with 6 months and have done an assessment than 5 years and not done an assessment, right? So, maybe maybe that's restrictive enough, just remove the years of experience altogether. I think we might run into, and how many, what's the restriction we put on for how many times organization had to conduct this type of assessment?
So we said that the proposer has at least 5 years experience in developing a community health needs assessment, must have completed at least 3 community health improvement assessments and provide evidence, and then must provide a list of communities and other entities where similar work has been conducted with references.
So let me ask this, and I should know the answer, but at the end of the day, if we get in 5 proposals, let's say, and they're ranging anywhere from 1 to 3 years of experience, and we put it, or 3 assessments for experience, and we put the assessment to just a minimum of 1 assessment having been done, we don't have to take any of those 5, correct, Allison? We can just reject them all and go back to the board again, start over, I mean?
Sorry, trying to unmute. Yeah, if you're not happy, you don't have to accept any proposals. I will say, generally speaking, I put out the RFPs for the town on all different topics. And I want you to be happy with anything that you accept. But typically, we only do get 1 response to RFPs. Mike, I had a question for the board. Is there a health assessment done within Massachusetts that you've seen that you've liked by other agencies? Because one thing we could do is, if you find out there are and you like them, then I can send the RFP out to them. And then if they're not going to respond, we can ask them, or they don't respond, maybe what is their dilemma in not responding, if that makes sense. But you don't typically get a lot of responses to requests for proposals.
I think there's a lot of sense to there are two different sets of sort of criteria here. One set is what goes out in the proposal that says, you know, you need at least 1 year experience and have done one of these at least once. But then the second set of criteria are the criteria that we would use to decide between several proposals. And so I think, sort of as Kevin was saying, you know, you could set the criteria in the RFP to be at least one proposal, at least 1 year experience. But then when you evaluate the proposals, you know, obviously, you know, the entity that has done more of these, you know, would potentially be more favorable. So I like that idea of reducing the RFP criteria so that it doesn't look like too high a hill to climb to put in a submission, but then on the back end, we can make a decision around experience. The other thing I would say with respect to Allison, your comments, the reason I raised MAPC was just because they sent us 2 of these that they did. I actually forwarded to board members a couple weeks ago. And they did that because we worked with them, as you know, last winter. So they're an entity that we might want to reach out with and sort of ask them if they want to, you know, bring in a, if they want to make a submission. The other thing to think about is, and you know, I don't know this world of these kinds of consultants, but you know, by law, hospitals are required to do this every 3 years, and so, you know, I would think they probably get a consultant every 3 years to, you know, shepherd the process. And so another thing that, you know, someone could do would be to contact local hospitals and find out, you know, who do you use, and then, you know, target those entities to see if they have an interest. So that would be another approach.
In my recollection was that Winchester did the last one about 5 years ago. I'm not sure about that.
Every 3 years they have to do them.
3.
But I'm not sure it was done 3 years ago.
I think it probably was. Yeah, I can look, but my guess is they did it after 2013 because it started to be required.
Yep.
Okay. That was my suggestion, is to reach out to whoever did the last one.
Karen, yeah.
I'd like to ask that HRIA be contacted and asked to apply. They are they conduct numerous, Jerry's nodding, they conduct numerous community health assessments. Their work quality is excellent. I think it would be good to invite them. I have a question though. I'm wondering if I'm wondering if we can get some feedback on the application. I mean, if we've written it such that we've only got one person and they're out of state, I'm wondering if there are barriers to the, you know, that either we're budgeting it wrong, or we're, you know, as we said, we're not allowing enough time, or we're asking for more than is, you know, what they consider to be typical for an RFP. And if those are barriers to people applying.
So if I could just interject for one moment, we can send the proposals out to any firms that you would like. That's not an issue. I can't really ask anyone to apply and tell them we want them to apply. And I'll preface this by saying not all mass laws make sense, but that's what we have to follow.
I know.
So no. So as far as the criteria, you can't really set the criteria that they only have 1 year and then say, well, I chose this firm because they had 10 years. You're setting your minimum. You have some basic questions that you'll ask that will set your minimum criteria. And then you set the criteria in which you want to rank them which will hopefully pull out your stronger candidate. But say I wanted 5 refrigerators and they all came in pretty close, but one gave me a warranty, but I didn't ask for the warranty. I can't award it to the one because they gave me the warranty. Whatever your criteria is and how you choose to rank it is how you have to review your proposals, if that makes any sense. So we can't say we'll allow you to have only 1 year, but you have 10, so I'll rank you higher, unless your criteria says those companies with over 9 years will be highly advanced. So you have to be careful about what you ask as your criteria and then how you review the proposal, because you're only reviewing the proposal to your criteria.
But doesn't the proposal state, there's a difference between a minimum requirement and then when you evaluate a proposal that, you know, everybody has to meet this minimum requirement. But then you can't evaluate the proposal based on, you know, 3 years experience, 5 years or more. I mean, it's also not the only criteria. There's a whole bunch of other criteria, and you're kind of weighting all of them to make a decision.
So there are 2 sets of criteria here. You have the minimum evaluation criteria,
Right.
and then you have the comparative evaluation criteria. So they all have to meet the minimum. And then the comparative evaluation criteria, I think we have 5 of those. And it says here that similar project experience. The firm should have experience in providing services for projects of similar size and scope as that requested by the town of Reading in the RFP. It also states that the firm should assign qualified personnel to this project. Resumes should be included. Third comparative criteria, the firm should have favorable references from its clients. Fourth, the firm should provide a clear and comprehensive proposal, including an easy to follow logical work plan. And the fifth, presentation of a completed community health improvement plan. So those are the 5 comparative criteria. And then the minimum evaluation criteria, the first one is must have at least 5 years experience in developing a CHNA, must have completed at least 3 CHNAs, and must provide a list of communities and other entities where similar work has been conducted with references.
Allison, can I ask you a quick question while I still have internet working here? Do we have to list it as a minimum of 3? We can't list it as 1 to 5 years of experience, 1 to 5 assessments done?
No, you certainly can. You can write the criteria in the minimums be anything.
Okay.
So for example, we could pull out, you have to have a minimum of 3 years. And then you could write, if they have 10 more years or more, it's highly advantageous. If they have
Gotcha.
5 to 10, it's advantageous. But then we actually have to go through that process. And then you look at it, and the government doesn't even allow you to use number scores. You have to use this highly advantaged, not acceptable. And then you look at all those and you figure out your most advantageous proposal.
Okay.
Yes.
Got it. Thank you.
So what I'm hearing is that we ought to do a few things. One is, change the criteria to be less stringent, both maybe reducing the number of past proposals that they've actually completed. Instead of a minimum of 3, make it, 1 or 1 to 3, reduce their their years of experience from 5 to 1 to 5, and that would be one thing. Secondly, to extend the time to resubmit the RFP and maybe extend the time. So if we did that fairly soon and extended the time so they had to be back by the end of December, at least a week before our meeting in January, they would have more time, and then the board would have to look at them. And then thirdly, to contact the entity that Carrie mentioned, HRIA,
Health Resources in Action. Yep.
And maybe MAPC, and maybe find out who the consultants were for some of our local hospitals that they used, and send requests out to them. So that's what I'm hearing. Kevin, you had your hand up. Do you want to make?
I think I was glitched up. It's from the previous question. Nope.
Okay.
I was just going to say John Snow is the other one that a lot of hospitals use.
Yes.
So it's JSAI.
Yep.
Hi, so this is Allison. If you want to email me who you want me to send the next proposal to, I'll be happy to send it to them for you. So just let me know. I'm trying to see if either of those actually took those proposals out. I'm looking at the file.
So Ade, does that give enough direction as to next steps?
Yes, I think that the board should email me what they would like to, the changes they would like to see in the RFP, 1, and 2, the entities they would like the RFP to go to. And yeah, I'll get it to Allison, and we'll go from there.
Okay.
I'll just add one thing. Tomorrow when my brain is attached, I will email you the list of everyone who took out a copy of the RFP.
Great.
So that might give you some insight as well.
Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Great. Have a great evening, everyone.
Thank you, Allison.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay. In terms of the next agenda item, this is really more just kind of a discussion, brainstorming session, and I'm going to share my screen with this PowerPoint. Here we go. Okay, so basically, just to set the context, people have seen these 10 essential public health services, the diagram, and it points out the different aspects of public health services that are critical. And one of them here is communicate effectively to inform and educate. And so that is an important thing that that we need to think about, particularly, for instance, with this community health needs assessment. They'll come up with priorities, and then the question is, how do we effectively address those priorities? And I think this particular area is going to be important in doing that. And we know that when MAPC gave us their report in April, one of their goals was, develop a communication strategy looking at various channels of communication and messages to convey. And they had some ideas about, developing a communication strategy and some ways you might do it using, the various awareness months. And I actually included a link that lists, it's amazing. It's amazing when you go through the 12 months of the year, how many awareness months there are, of how many for each month. There's 3 or 4 or 5 different, and you can pick your topic. And So this is something we were kind of recommended to address. And then when we looked at our status report at our last meeting, this is an area where we've made some progress, but I don't think we're 100% there in terms of communication strategy. So what I thought we might do is spend a little bit of time just talking about how we, as a board and as a health department, we could energize efforts to communicate with the community around health-related issues. And I think the way I look at it is there's sort of reactive needs, like there's an emergency, and how do you communicate in those situations? And then there's this whole area of health education, preventative measures, and how do you sort of do ongoing education? We could think about what we've done so far and where we ought to go. And I mentioned about the community health needs assessment. So I'll stop there. And, basically, I have a number of thoughts on this that I'm happy to share, but I'd be interested in hearing from other members about if they have any particular ideas. And this is really just meant to kind of talk about this so that we are thinking about it in the future going forward and as we address different issues.
I just want to ask a quick question.
Yes.
As residents of Reading, have you all had any communication from the health department since I started as the health director in November of 2021?
I think what I've seen is there's been some flu or COVID vaccine announcements through the Town of Reading Facebook page. Back in January, I think we did a what is it called, an ECN or a reverse 911 announcement around masking. And there have certainly been updates on the website, on the health department website. Those are the things that sort of come to mind.
I remember we did a reverse 911 call regarding the heat, extreme heat in the summer. That was from the health department.
Yep.
I remember we, we had meetings with the residents. We had an open house to meet new residents.
Mhm.
We had calls, flyers on the website regarding mosquito control. Anytime they're about, anytime they want to spray in Reading, we inform the residents. We have, we had information about the drought. We have information about the water quality that we sent out to residents, flu clinics, COVID clinics. We had blood pressure clinics. Name it. We've had so many ways that we engaged with the public in the past, especially since I started as the health director.
Mhm.
So I know you guys want to improve things. That's fine. I don't have any issues with that, but I would rather focus on areas that we have real issues. I don't think we have real issues with communicating with the residents and engaging with the residents. So that's just my piece.
Carrie?
So a couple things. I'm interested in kind of thinking not so much about for the community education and engagement. I'm more interested in the modalities than I am in the content.
Right.
you know, and if we're, you know, so is it passive with website posting, or is it, you know, pushes out to Facebook pages or, I don't know, twits or whatever? I mean, that's one, so that's what interests me, because I think that our the challenge is always putting the stuff where people are going to run into it, right? It's less, for me, it's less about what communication there is, because you know, Jay, you made a nice list of all of the things, but it's more of is it how, you know, the how of it, how does it go out? And I'm going to try it again. And then my second question is, when we talk about the emergency or the reactive ones, you know, that should be part of the emergency preparedness resources that you have as a member of Region 3, and there should be some risk communication messages and, you know, lists and protocols for, you know, when you do. I don't know if there is or not, but I think that's a great thing to engage the consultants that are assigned to you through Region 3 to give you some of that, or updated if it needs to be updated or whatever. So I want to divide the two. And yeah, I mean, I'll say too, I mean, communication work is it's a lot of work. And it's and I worry about whether we have the staff to do it effectively. We see lots of departments where they try, but you know, it's somebody's tacked on job, and then things get busy, and you know, they start a blog, but they don't have time to maintain it. It comes off the list when things get busy. You know, and unless you have access somehow to dedicated communications folks, then your effort, it's tricky. Or unless you have, you know, a staff person who's like, yes, I really, really want to do a newsletter. I really, really want to whatever. So I'll stop there. That's my thoughts.
That's helpful. I think we are talking about modalities at this point, not content.
Yeah.
Other ideas or thoughts?
I mean, I know we all get a lot of messages, but I definitely do read what comes home from the schools. So whenever there's anything that the health department is doing, if they leverage the schools to communicate it, that's how I tend to see it. Maybe a lot of parents are the same.
Right.
That's an idea. So you get, I mean, flyers that your kids bring home? And
Emails. No, it's like a weekly email, and now they've started doing, which is interesting, video emails.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like a little video.
And they're in multiple languages too, I believe.
I don't know.
I think they do it at least in Spanish.
Nice.
And so that's a weekly email
From
and
the superintendent.
from the superintendent. Oh, well, that's an idea. You know, the thing about the schools, that might be one way the health department could access parents through the schools on a particular topic. But it's the advantage the schools has is they have a sort of captured population. You know, they know the kids and they have the emails of the parents, and you know, whereas we would be trying to communicate to 26,000 people, and we don't know their emails and stuff. But one could leverage potentially the school communications from time to time if there was some synergy there.
Hi. We
Hi.
did, I work really closely to Mary, so the school nurse, and they did just send out a newsletter about like respiratory illnesses and like RSV, encouraging people to vaccinate their children with the flu. And it was like this awesome flyer she put out with them. And so she's going to have another, I think our Vaccine RX is going to do at the middle school, which helps because they can pick up their kids and then go get vaccinated with their kids. So Mary like does work with us, and we do send things out to the parents just so like, I don't know if no one knows that, but it was sent out. I think it was sent out this week too.
Yep.
We get those. Thank you.
Can I make oh, sorry, Kevin. I just want.
Kevin, go ahead. And then
Now, let me get real quick, Carrie, just before I lose it to
Oh, no, you're fine.
Um,
Hand.
So, Ade, most of these these pushes are from opt-in, either text or emails, correct? So you got to go like on the website or to the page of the department to opt into it.
Ade, that's a question.
Could you repeat that, please?
So I get a lot of emails and texts, but I had to go to the website and sign up for those. And I
Correct.
think that's what you're talking about, a lot of the pushes, other than doing reverse 911, obviously. So those have like a small reach. My suggestion would be to simply try to push for that to be increased, try to get more people to opt into the system.
Correct. We're doing that, and we also leverage the town's social media platforms as well.
Yeah.
Okay. But you could even do so with maybe, you know, a lot of times the mailing, the can go out with the water bills. And you could create a QR code that people could just scan right over their phone and opt in.
Yeah.
You know, again, just because that hits all your household.
Right.
So I think you might get some buy-in if you did that.
It's a great idea. Carrie, did you?
Again, it depends on the message. It depends on the content.
Right.
What exactly are we trying to send to people, and who is the target audience? So the route you use is based on that.
Yes. And that's like, that was, I realized I focused on modalities, but I think that what I missed and wanted to add, we really need to know who our priority populations are, right? And how do you link in with them? So if schools are a priority, then that's great. You know, there's an established relationship. Is there if seniors are a priority, you know, can you make a connection to whomever is doing newsletters for the senior population? Or, you know, library, does the library offer something? I mean, I think thank you for saying that, Ajay, because that's exactly right. Your target audience should dictate kind of how it's being delivered, and without knowing your target audience, you're just kind of shooting it out. But I will put in a plug that I think, yeah, there's an awful lot that you get through schools, and having now had a student and then have them graduate, you kind of fall off of a cliff. And you don't know anything anymore. It's really weird. I mean, it's kind of welcome because the barrage of information can be a little bit much. But it really is, there's a communication gap that, you know, so thinking about those other, what are the other modes that you reach folks with? But yeah, who's your target audience? Yeah. And I guess what's our goal, right? I mean, is it, you know, intending to just elevate the profile of the health department? That's pretty broad. Are we, you know, sharing information specifically to, these are the services available to, you know, our target audiences?
I honestly think we don't have issues with communication and engagement with the public. I think MAPC made recommendations. Now, those recommendations may or may not be implemented. It's not a Bible that we have to follow. You know, they're recommendations. If the recommendations work for us, we take those, run with it. If they don't work for us, guess what? We leave them aside, move to the next. So yes, they made recommendations, but we don't have to follow each and every recommendation made by MAPC because it might not work for our health department.
I would respectfully disagree. I mean, I would agree we don't have to follow every recommendation, but if that is the case, then we probably should have, and we don't do it at this meeting, but we probably should have explicitly said we are not going to follow recommendation X, Y, or Z, number one. And number two, this recommendation actually is very consistent with what should be done in public health, communication, education. How could we say we're not going to follow that? So, you know, I understand what you're saying today, but I think that this is fundamental to, you know, really progressing with public health in the community. So, you know, I can talk about a few things. I think I think it's really some of the comments made. I didn't even think about, like sending out notices or QR codes with electric bills or water bills, linking into the school system. Great idea. I think on social media, and for those of us that are on social media, I think if we had a strategy around these are particular, and we're talking about modalities, I think we could use that more than we have done. I seem to see other areas in the town constantly using social media around certain issues to increase their profile. And I think when there are opportunities, when we have issues that we need to communicate, we ought to probably think more. And I'm thinking about, Facebook in particular, but there may be others. I think that, I think the website is important, but unless you're looking for something specific, I don't think as many people probably, I don't know what the hits are on the website, but I'm not sure how many people actually necessarily go to the website. And then sometimes it requires 1 or 2 or 3 clicks to get to the information. So it's not as readily available. And so in my mind, having the ability, at least when you get on the health department website, that there's a little bit more, when it's appropriate, to have flags right on the first page of the website, as opposed to sort of tucking it into a subcategory of a subcategory. And I think we used to do that a little bit more. Of course, they became outdated, but those kinds of, you go to the health department and there's, more recent flags about things that people should know about would be useful. And then, I think the whole thing about, picking health-related issues on a monthly basis and doing something around that, that was the MAPC thing. I think that's one approach. I think maybe more pertinent to your concerns today is that whatever comes out of the community health needs assessment will have some priorities, and those are the ones we ought to be hammering with, maybe we set up a monthly basis and hammer those through social media, or, with more on the website around that. So those are some ideas. Yes, Carrie.
Sorry.
No.
You get me going, and so, I think I'm thinking about the 10 essentials. One of the interesting and challenging things about the 10 essential services is that they are broadly applied to federal, state, regional, county, local public health. And the way that the activities are accomplished looks different in each of those levels. And often, and maybe Paula, I don't know if you have thoughts about this, often education is in the local area is at kind of the micro, it's at the patient education, or so it's education when you're doing a flu clinic and making sure that folks understand the issues about their, that's often the way that particularly smaller health departments tackle it. I know of larger departments that have a concerted effort to try and do some social media work and, website updates and Facebook and the like. But those are much larger departments. So I think those two things of kind of thinking, well, how do we hit the 10 essentials at our level, and what can we leverage that's available at the state level? Maybe there's a flyer about sunscreen for October because it's sunscreen month. That's not right at all, but you know what I'm saying. Are there flyers available that we could provide a link to on the website and, do that? I feel firmly both ways. I think it's important, but I'm also very aware of that it's a lot of work. You know, and I've said it before, and poor Jane, I don't know. I mean, I'm always throwing Jane Wellman's name around because she has great skills in this. And if there's a way to leverage those skills to build a little schedule and, you know, figure out the flyers, or she can get an intern that could, you know, figure out web links for different months or something, that might make sense. But I'm not sure what it, that's it. So that's another direction. It's kind of who has this stuff, who has these capabilities, and how could we leverage them?
Yes.
And I think the way you leverage them in terms of using those kind of resources and saying there's a flyer, there's an educational piece, whatever, you know, sort of advertising that on social media and making it readily apparent on the website when you first go in would be more useful. And, you know, if you link it with the schools, or you do, you know, with the water bill, I mean, that's other ways. But I don't think just necessarily putting it on the website under a category where you need 3 clicks to get in really doesn't get to people.
Yeah, and yeah, it's that kind of, you have information available when people need it, right?
Yes.
You want to be there when they need it. You can't predict when they're going to need it. And right, it's that. And what are the things? So again, who's our target audiences, and what are the things they need to know?
Sure.
Exactly. And Jane has been very instrumental with helping us put things on the town's social media platforms. She's done a terrific job so far. Sometimes we get press releases from the state, and, you know, I send it to her directly to post on the website, and she does it for us as well. So there might be a lot of things on there that don't have health department title, but it's still from the health department. So as long as the information gets out there, that's the most important thing. We don't care who takes credit for it. You know, that the information is the most important. As long as it hits the right target audience, that's all we care about.
Great.
So I think it's a great question as we think about this community health assessment. I think, you know, I think getting information from them about who those target audiences are and suggestions for linkages and the like, you know, I think it's always important. That's I always say every public health crisis is a communications crisis, and we always have to work on that. You know, it's so yeah, I mean, I think it's good timing to think about some of these things. Yeah.
Okay. Well, good. I think that was a good discussion. I think raised some ideas about how we ought to approach things and from what we're doing now, and we'll see how it plays out. I think it will be more important next year around the community health needs assessment.
Yeah, definitely.
So Kevin, anything on the coalition?
I will email you all the latest update, but I wasn't able to attend. They had the downtown trick or treat going right around the same time, and that kind of takes priority.
Okay.
But I will, when we're done here tonight, I'll email you over the latest update from Erica, so you have it.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Carrie, yes.
I was just thinking of Erica. I was able to attend last night a session that Erica facilitated. It wasn't a lunch and learn because it was at 6 o'clock, but it was a meet, and it was oh, and Jackie, you were there, Jackie. Yeah. It was an opportunity to hear from the Lieutenant Silva, the civil rights officer, and forgive me, I don't recall her last name, Sudeshna, the diversity, equity, and inclusion staff person at the library. It was really a very well done thing. It was interesting to see, and there's more and more work in public health, if you follow the literature, talking about the social determinants of health and talking about the impacts of all the isms. And it was really encouraging to see the work that the folks from both the public safety and housed in the library were doing. And Erica did it was nice. Erica was the MC. So, I think that's a great capacity that we've built. I knew it existed, but hearing from them, I had a much better understanding of the depths of what's available in this community. And I left really proud and excited. And I might even try and go join their meetings. So.
That's great. That's good. Thank you for sharing that.
Yeah, looking for a liaison from health. So if you would like to volunteer for that.
Yeah, it kind of has my name on it. This has been kind of a thing for me since I was a little kid. So yeah, I will do that. I'll happily do that.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
Thanks for asking. Who knew?
So a day monthly report.
Yes, so I will start with the shared services grant. As you may recall, the towns of North Andover, Reading, North Reading, Linfield, and the city of Haverhill secured a public health excellence grant for shared services in the amount of $297,200 per year. The payment will be in 4 installments annually, and the contract will be in effect through June 30th, 2023, with options for renewal through June 30th, 2033. So we're looking at 10 years. The next steps in the process, we have to pretty much submit a revised public health excellence budget plan because they gave us a little bit less than what we applied for. So we have to reconfigure the budget to match the $297,200 they've given us per year. We also need to complete a baseline capacity assessment. And then once we do those, they will send us the first of 4 payment installments. And once we get the funds, we hire the staff and we get to work.
Awesome.
So exciting.
Yes, I believe I sent you the copies of the contract and the capacity assessment. Right, next thing on my list is 365 Ash Street. I drove by the property today and I didn't see anybody on the property, no evidence of somebody living on the property. At this point, I have no idea where the owner is. The last I heard was that he went back to the motel. We've been trying to reach his children and nobody has responded so far. As you may recall, the property was condemned on July 20th. The board granted a 90-day extension to correct the violations listed in the condemnation order, as well as other violations that may prevent reoccupation of the dwelling unit. So far, no work has been done. No compliance, nothing. So I was brainstorming, what's the next step? Jackie, could you please put up that slide? And what we've done in the past is, this is a section of the code, the 105 CMR 410, which is the minimum standards for human habitation. The same code that allowed us to be able to condemn the house. It states that if 1 year after the issuance of an order to secure compliance with the minimum standards set forth in 105 CMR 410 has not been effected, then the board may cause the dwelling or portion thereof to be demolished or removed. So this started since July 20th. We don't know what's going to happen. So I think the board should start thinking about the next steps. So
Well, it would seem pretty clear what we have to do.
it does. But, you know,
So do we have to vote on it?
You can
we
think
have to-
about this. It doesn't have to be now, you know, we can talk about it at subsequent meetings. But this
But
is
it
just
requires a vote by us.
correct. The board would have to
Okay.
vote to demolish the property.
Thank you.
Thank you. So it's just, you know, we don't need a decision right now, but it's just letting you know what the options are. Do we want to keep waiting for them to fix the property when they're not communicating with us? Or do we want to take the next steps allowable by the code?
Yeah,
Who's paying for the hotel?
His children, his sons.
yeah, Carrie.
We'd have to demonstrate that we'd pursued all possible avenues to communicate with, so, you know, certified letters and the like and multiple times. So we'd need to, if we were to, as we follow down the path, that is the thing that we need to, so, okay, we've sent 2 certified letters or, you know, we've,
Correct.
Yeah.
So right now the board has the upper hand because you've given them 90 days to fix the problem and they haven't responded. They haven't even come back to say, hey, you know, we couldn't find contractors or we couldn't find this. And can you give us more time? Can you extend the compliance time? They haven't done anything. So yes, documentation is the key and we're working on that as well.
Yeah.
But to get us to that point, we have to make sure we have everything in place. So
do we need to ask them to come before the board?
well, that will be the next step. The next step will be for me to send a letter letting them know that, you know, on July 20th, you asked for 90 days. The board gave you 90 days. We still haven't heard from you. If you don't reach out to us in 30 days, we would pretty much move forward with what the code allows us to do. And then hopefully we'll get some kind of reaction from there and they'll probably come to the board and start talking again. All right. Let's see. Inspections for the month of October. We conducted 21 food establishment inspections, 3 food establishment re-inspections, 1 at Cafe Nero, 1 at Dunkin' Donuts on West Street, and 1 at the Mandarin. We had 1 food complaint. That's on Dunkin' Donut on West Street. The complaint was about flies on their donuts. We had a housing complaint. Let's see, Johnson Woods, that was mold on the ceiling. We had rat complaints at 14 Longfellow Road. We had 2 trash complaints, Belmont Arms and 601 Main Street. We issued 11 temporary food event permits, mostly for the beer garden. We had 2 from the Indian Festival at the Reading Memorial High School, 5 from the beer garden. Let's see, 1 for the new Reading Residents Open House. Yeah, that's pretty much it. We had a busy month. I will now defer to the public health nurse, Mallory, to provide updates on disease surveillance, reporting, and control. Thank you.
Hi, everyone. So our COVID numbers have been pretty good considering it's getting colder out. We do have 17 active cases of COVID, only 1 under the age of 18. The rest are over the age of 18. So it's been pretty good. The bivalent booster just got approved for ages 5 to 11, and the Vaccinate RX clinic will offer that, and it's being hosted the 16th. I had 1 case of, I had one case of Yersinia that was resulted in what they cooked themselves. So no further investigation was needed. And then 3 cases of the flu. And for flu season, I have vaccinated 236 regular flus and then 108 high doses. I will be hosting a flu clinic on the 8th, 18 plus, and Vaccinate RX will offer bivalent boosters and flus on the 16th. So Vaccinate RX numbers are, they've done 375 of the flu, 48, 65 and plus high doses, and 320 bivalent boosters. So, and I've been talking to Mary. Mary just sent out a letter to all the parents because we are looking at concerns with respiratory diseases, and it's targeting the younger crowd. So she sent out just an educational letter encouraging parents to make sure their kids get vaccinated and like when to stay home. And it was really good. So we've covered that basis too.
Yeah, the RSV is kicking people in the butt.
Yeah, no, and it's happening in older children, which I never have seen before, like 6-year-olds.
And adults. I've seen them in adults.
Yeah. So.
And the hospitals are,
It's
it's.
Mary scrambled to
Just
send out that letter because she was like, this might be not going to be a great flu season. So we are encouraging parents. We do the Vaccinate RX at the middle school so they can take their kids and just go get vaccinated. I did a 3+ at the library where it was good. We got a lot of kids. I had to bribe a lot of people with lollipops. But it went really well. The parents were really grateful because they were able to just go to the library and just come right down, and we vaccinated them. So we've been trying to reach child age population with vaccine.
good. Excellent. Thank you for that.
No problem. And that's about it.
Thanks, Mallory. Back to Dr. Lopez.
Any other questions? One question I had was actually a day, and I don't know where this is, or at one point, Greg Burns in the incident command was going to do an after action report. And I know this is like 6 months ago, and he was soliciting feedback. Did that ever happen in the incident command? Was some report ever formulated and published?
Not that I know of.
Not that you know of. Okay. I just thought it would be useful if and when it does, for us to learn from it, for the, to distribute it to the board.
Absolutely.
It's okay.
Definitely.
It would be worth looking at in terms of the communication you were talking about.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, I know. I think I received the regional. I think we received the regional report. And yeah, I'd be very interested when Chief Burns is able to complete that after action, in seeing the results from it.
Absolutely.
All right. Next, public comment. I see one member of the public here. You would like to speak for 2 minutes, you can raise your hand. And it's at the bottom, the reactions. No? Okay.
Oh, no, hand up.
Hand up, okay. Go ahead, Narcissa. You go ahead, Narcissa. You can address the board. You may be on mute. I'm not hearing anything. Jackie, she's unmuted, right?
He appears to be unmuted, yeah.
Okay. Maybe there may be some technical issues going on. Hmm.
Hmm.
No, sister, we're not able to hear you.
Oh,
Question, what code allows for demolishing property? That was a day, the code you put up.
105 CMR 410.833, paragraph F.
Okay. Okay, no, we don't demolish buildings. Do we demolish buildings a day when people are inside? I wouldn't think so.
Absolutely not.
Of course not. All right. Living there.
A day.
You want to do a day, maybe,
What are the conditions that required by the reg?
yeah.
So it has to go through condemnation. The house has been condemned and deemed unfit for human habitation. And, it's been sitting there for over a year, then we can demolish it.
So so in this
Recently.
particular case, we issued the order in July. It's been over 90 days. It certainly hasn't been a year. But a day, I actually, one thing I wanted to ask on that is, what if before 1 year, there's rodent infestation or animal infestation, in the vacant property, or it's causing some kind of local health hazard? We would, do you know what our alternatives would be at that point?
The alternative would be to mitigate whatever is going on and put a lien on the property to recoup our money back.
I see. Okay. All right. Thank you. Thank you, Narcissa. Okay. So I think that's kind of wraps up our meeting. Our next meeting's in December. We're still waiting for Maureen on the tobacco regulations. We'll have them when she has them. And I guess we probably won't have more on the community health needs assessment at the next meeting because we'll be still in process. Make sure people get back their ideas about how we might want to modify the RFP to a day in the next day or two so that he can work with Allison to revise it and get another one out. And also what entities we should specifically send the request out in case they're interested. So get that information back to a day. And we may have more on the grant as it evolves. And I think that's about it. Okay. I'll make a motion to adjourn. Second, roll call, Paula,
yes.
Carrie,
Yes.
Rick, yes. All right, thank you, everybody.
Thank you.
Everybody.
Okay,
Bye.
happy Thanksgiving.
Thank you.
Oh, wow, yes, true. Wow.
Everyone.
Happy town meeting, happy Thanksgiving,
Happy everything.
happy everything.
Happy
What the heck?
Bye.
Bye-bye.